So now, please join me in welcoming Jane Henney, the NAM Home Secretary and former Commissioner of the FDA. And one of Jane's many roles as Home Secretary is to chair the Member Awards Selection Committee, and she'll present this year's award. Jane?
The Walsh-McDermott Medal is awarded annually to the NAM member for a record of enduring distinguished service to the NAM and the academies. This year's McDermott Medal is awarded to Lynn Goldman. Dr. Goldman is Dean and Professor at the School of Public Health at George Washington University. Her service to the Academy dates back almost 30 years. She served on dozens of committees, boards, roundtables, and forums to which she has lent her unparalleled expertise in environmental and occupational health. This year alone, she is serving concurrently in 6 separate capacities. Notably, she is a member of the NAM Council, and she has been lead author for the Community Health in the NAM's Vital Directions for Health and Healthcare series. Dr. Goldman approaches her formidable schedule of activities with deep commitment and energy. She is a skilled facilitator and uniquely effective leader. The academies have all been benefited immeasurably from her vision and creativity. Thank you, Lynn, for your service.
I need to thank you so much for this very unexpected recognition. Looking around the room, there's so many of you that I've worked with in so many different capacities that I think I may be a stand-in for many of us who put a lot of time and effort into serving this academy. I thought a little bit about why do we do this, and in the front piece of reports, there's a little quote from Goethe that says, "Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do." And that always reminds me of what I try to teach my students, which is our role of speaking truth to power, and how difficult that can be, especially in this day and age, whether we're thinking about the hazards of tobacco, emissions from fossil fuels, or too much sugar and salt in our diet. It's a steep hill to climb, and this organization never fails to be truthful, but also to apply itself to come to a consensus, not to come in with a preconceived point of view, but to develop a conclusion based on the science. It's also true that there are many potential benefits from new technologies that the public doesn't trust, and it's been a real privilege to get to work on reports where we're able to elucidate the actual hazards, the regulatory science that we need to bring these new technologies forward to benefit society. But mostly, I think we do this because it's fun. It's such a privilege to work together with the people who volunteer for these academies, but it's also an enormous privilege to work with the professional staff who work for these academies. They're the most wonderful people that I've worked with in my career. So I just have to thank all of you for the opportunity to have served. Thank you.
The David Rahl Medal is awarded annually to the NAM member who has demonstrated particular distinguished leadership as a study or activity chair in a manner that is particularly exemplary. This year's David Rahl Medal is awarded to Donna Shalala. Dr. Shalala is president of the Clinton Foundation, past president of the University of Miami, and former secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. This award recognizes her service as chair of the Committee on the Future of Nursing, which released its groundbreaking report nearly 6 years ago. As chair, she succeeded in ensuring a breadth of professional representation on this very important committee and guided the diverse group to a series of bold and impactful recommendations, including the influential recommendation to expand the scope of practice for nurse practitioners. Dr. Shalala has demonstrated remarkable commitment by continuing to champion the report in the years since its publication. The future of nursing is widely considered to be a game changer for the profession and a major contribution to improving care and quality and building a culture of health. Dr. Shalala, thank you for your extraordinary leadership.
Thank you very much. Nurses are the largest part of the healthcare workforce, over 3 million of them. And when Harvey called me to chair this report, I was reluctant only because I knew the burden of flying back and forth to Miami over a period of more than a year. But then Risa called me, and this was going to be an unusual report because it was going to be jointly branded by the IOM as well as Robert Wood Johnson. And Risa sent over Sue Hassmiller, who was her lead nursing leader, and Sue made it smooth within the IOM. I want to thank Linda Burns Bolton, the vice chair of the committee, who bridged the gap between academic nursing and the practitioners. This was not an easy report, but the committee was remarkable in its breadth for health policy. It was a mixture of nurses, nurse leaders, and health policy experts. That combination made a difference in both following the evidence and figuring out the policy recommendations. It turned out to be a lot of fun and very important. People have asked me, how do you know when you've done a game changer report? I told them, you never anticipate that. You're following the evidence, and like a good Academy member, I was doing my duty. But a year and a half ago, when I was recovering from a stroke, I was flat on my back in a hospital in New York, and 2 staff nurses walked in, and they said, I said, what can I do for you? And they said, well, we were trying to get autographs, and I said, President Clinton has just left, and they said, no, we'd like you to sign our IOM reports. I want to thank the Academy for the opportunity to lead an extraordinary effort that will indeed be a game changer for all of us in healthcare.
The Adam Yarmolinsky Medal is awarded annually to recognize extraordinary service by an NAM member who hails from outside the traditional health and medical services. This year's Yarmolinsky Medal is awarded to Mary Woolley. Ms. Woolley, President and CEO of Research America, is an administrator, educator, and advocate who has dedicated her career to advancing the nation's health and research agenda. An active contributor to academic services for almost 20 years, Ms. Woolley has applied her integrity, creativity, passion, and skill to promote the work of the academies and advance the biomedical research enterprise in America. She brings to her work a masterful grasp of the American health and research system, a uniquely valuable cross-disciplinary perspective, and a rare skill for dialogue and communication. Mary, we are truly fortunate to have you as such a strong partner and contributor to our work. Thank you for your remarkable service.
Thank you. Thank you, Jane, Victor, friends. I am immensely humbled by this recognition and what I think of as a new call to service. Serving the public's interest is what the National Academy of Medicine is all about, and Adam Yarmolinsky epitomized that. He was clear about the importance of sensitivity to the public, including the political, small p, frame of serving the public's interest. Keeping that in mind, Yarmolinsky served many U.S. presidents, and now, at a time when we're all thinking intently about the importance of the presidency, I want to quote briefly JFK, the first president that Yarmolinsky served. In 1961, President Kennedy said, quote, "The trumpet summons us again, not as a call to battle, though embattled we are, but a call to bear the burden of a long struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against our common enemies, tyranny, poverty, disease. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance? Will you join in that historic effort?" Unquote. I know that everyone in this room, everyone in the academies has joined, and I am proud to have joined as well. So I thank you for this renewed call to service. I do hear that trumpet. Thanks.
Wow, another round of applause for the awardees. So thank you, Jane. You know, one of the things I continue to be impressed at the NAM and the National Academies is the caliber of the staff we have the pleasure of working with. Every year, we take a few minutes to acknowledge significant staff contributions with a presentation of the Cecil Award. I want to do this myself because this year, it's my great honor to present the Cecil Award to someone very special to all of us, that is Judith Shamir. As you know, Judith was the former director of the Office of Council and Membership Services, and I had the great fortune of working closely with her for 2 years before she retired early this year. We're still in mourning. But she served it as 12 years as director, and you know, I can tell you, and Harvey I'm sure will attest to it, she was instrumental in maintaining the integrity and effectiveness of our membership procedures, and was indispensable in serving members' needs and interests. During her time as director, Judith organized a membership office with documentations of policies, implemented online services for members, increased transparency of election process, and fostered the growth of membership interest groups. And she did it all with grace and calm. And so, Judith, please join us on stage so I can convey this award to you from all of us here today and to recognize you for the tremendous service you have to the IOM and now the NAM. Come on up. No? Okay.